This episode is brought to you by Lumina Growth Lab. At Lumina, we help professional learning and development consultants who are struggling with steady lead flow, consistent bottom line revenue, and scalability so they can finally have healthy margins, make more strategic decisions, and ultimately take their business to the next level. Most of the time, our clients come to us frustrated because nothing seems to work outside of word of mouth and referral-based growth. But with the right strategy and support, they're able to confidently add new channels of lead generation that create sustainable revenue and year-over-year growth for cheaper than ever before because of the use of AI technologies. If that sounds like you or someone you know, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about unlocking your business's potential. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Marketing Matrix, everybody. So happy you're all here. My name is Lisanne Murphy, and I am joined today by the one and only, the incredible, the beautiful, the talented Jacquie Williams. Jacquie, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Guys, I met Jacquie recently, and I was just really inspired by her tenacity and her desire to make an impact and to share what she's learned and help people move through challenges more quickly than ever before, because she's bringing her own personal experience and her professional training to the table here. So I want to read a little bit about her so you can get to know her, and then I'm going to turn the table over to her so she can introduce herself and share a little bit about her. Jacquie Williams is the founder of The New Chapter Co., a community brand, and The New Chapter Consulting, a consulting arm that helps service-based entrepreneurs in transition build value-led businesses with clarity, strategy, and soul. Whether it's a divorce, career change, burnout, or a long-held dream finally being acted on, Jacquie specializes in helping purpose-driven individuals turn their vision into something real. Her background in corporate consulting and her personal experience as a single mom rebuilding from the ground up gives her a unique perspective and edge. She works with startups, solo founders, and leadership teams, offering branding, business clarity, and culture-focused consulting to help businesses grow in alignment with who they are becoming. Again, Jacquie, thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to hear your expertise and to deliver the goods today.
I'm super excited as well. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah. So give us a little, for people that don't know you, give us some background. Like what is your journey to what you've created with the New Community Co?
Yeah, so my journey started kind of at rock bottom, to be completely honest. I had this falling on my heart for about 6 years ago, as when it first started for me. I went through a divorce and raising 3 kids. There's a lot of challenges that come with that alone, but I got this calling on my heart for a while. And when it first came to me, my first thought was, who's that woman? This vision of what I was going to build, why I was building it, who it was going to be for. And I just remember like meeting that vision with so much doubt and fear. At the time, I was going through extreme depression. I was literally just in survival mode. And I see it now in hindsight that kind of kept me from starting. But, this year and in the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025 really was what opened my eyes. Like, I've already been doing this with my, people that I work with, my customers, my clients. So I made it official, and it was like, I don't need a massive network. I don't need a huge email following or a huge social media following. I'm already building this with the people that I work with and talk with organically. And I have been doing it for so many years, And so for me, it was just start, it was just, okay, let's go, let's move.
Did you resist that call to start for a while? Or like, was the call so strong that you just like went for it?
I did resist it for a while. I'm very artistic by nature, and there's actually a couple of different arms of the business that I'm wanting to grow in the future. So I started planning those out first, actually, and started building on those. And when it came down to it, I was like, you know what, I need to start the parent company, the community face, the brand of the business, which is the New Chapter Co., which really I felt not only did I need it for myself, but, it was just like this incredible, really the best way I can describe it is a calling, honestly. You try to ignore it. It's on your heart, it's in your soul, and you're just like, no, that's not me. That's not me. And, it's kind of like, I'm not there yet. I'm not ready, you know? And so there was a long time. 6 years is a long time to sit there and to put a dream on the back burner. And when I finally had the courage to start, I had realized I could have done it from the beginning. I could have just done it where I was at. And so I wanted to share that with other people. So part of the New Chapter Co. is really just creating that community of support and encouragement and meeting people where they're at. That person starting over after divorce. Most of my clients now are women, but I support everyone in transition, everyone who's going through a really big life-changing event and wants to start this business or wants to recreate their brand identity or wants to just get out there and start this thing, and they have this dream but they don't know what to do with it. And that's where I just am able to stand here and say, hey, I've been in the mud before, I'm here to stand with you and walk with you in it.
Yeah, I love that. So what are the specific voices that are in people's heads that are keeping them from moving forward on these dreams that you found in from your own personal experience or the people that you've worked with? Like what are those voices?
Well, to start personally, mine was you're not good enough. Mine was you're not smart enough. You don't know enough. And really just that fear of I don't know what I'm doing. And I felt that way for a long time. And a lot of the clients I work with, that's what they tell me. They're like, well, I don't know. I don't know how to start. I don't know what I'm doing. And then when I actually start to work with them and go through their process and everything, they have everything they need. The common denominator between all of them is doubt. In every single person I work with, it is doubt. Doubt in themselves, doubt in the process, doubt in their systems, doubt in their employees. And the biggest thing that I have to remind myself as a business owner, or even just someone who's healing, someone who's just trying to heal and trying to grow and be the better version of themselves every day, is that person that you see in the future, the reason why it's on your heart is because it's meant for you. You might not be there right now, but it is meant for you. And that's why you have that calling. That's why you have that vision to start the business or to step out and be brave or to start a social media account for whatever it may be, large or small. And that's my biggest encouragement for people is recognize that doubt, recognize that fear, and start speaking that life back into yourself because when you have a calling so powerful in your heart, there's going to be something out there that's not going to want you to reach that.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
love
so you
that.
just got to be able to recognize that.
Yeah. What if you have like a call to do something, but in terms of like what the call actually looks like or how it will be materialized isn't necessarily, you don't have clarity on that yet. Like if someone's like, man, I just really want to get out there and speak with people and really impact people's lives. And it's like, well, how? And you're like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't quite know, but like, I feel this drive to make a big impact. Do you feel like you have to, like for someone to move forward on the dream, do they have to have clarity on the specifics or can they even start with without full clarity of what they're actually wanting to create?
I think starting anyways is important. It's very, very important to have that clarity though. You may not need to know all of the specifics. So I actually it'll be up later this week on my website, but building just a free clarity checklist for people who want to start. I've been giving it to my clients already, and one of them was like, why don't you just, you give it to us for free, why don't you just put it on your website? So we're going to get that on my website by the end of the week. But it's really just a checklist that walks you through step by step, just how to get clear on what your vision is, how to get clear on what this dream is, what it looks like for you. Who do you serve? What is this helping? Why are you building? What is your why? Right? And I think that's important because in any business, in any goal, right, you have to know what your why is so you can stay on track. You have to know what the point of it all is, right? Get aligned in your business goals first, but you don't need to have that to start. And that's kind of where I come in and I help my clients kind of get really clear on their goals and what that, plan it out, map it out. Let's look at it. Let's play with it. Sometimes like for me, I thought my business was going to look one way. And then once I started to really get clear and have like a really deep dive strategy session with myself and say, why am I building this? What am I doing? It looked different afterwards. And that was okay. But I would have known that had I not taken the time to kind of go through and really reevaluate myself and what I'm wanting
Mm-hmm.
for this business and not just what I'm wanting for the business, but also how does it serve others.
Yeah.
But you definitely don't need that to start.
I love that. Like, how do you like these voices of like, I'm not good enough, or I don't know enough? Like, they're really, really strong voices. And like, I think it's really hard. You can't just be like, shut up, voice. Like, how do you help people have confidence to, like, is it a process of, like, listening to the voice to a certain extent and, like, going through a worst case scenario exercise? Or is it just finding small actions that aren't as scary, that where the voice naturally dissipates? Like how do you work with these voices instead of just telling them like, "Shut up, you," because in my personal experience, that doesn't work that way.
Right. You may have the desire to be, I mean, I'm not sure where other people feel on this, but I'm a believer. And so a lot of this has been faith led, to be honest with you. And so the thing I have to tell myself is those intrusive thoughts, right? Um, and if you've ever read Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis, he talks about the characters and how they instill those thoughts in you, right? Like just whisper those thoughts and then get them to think, overthink, or maybe even to just be like, oh, you're not good enough, like you're not smart enough to do that. I think it's all of the above of what you discussed. It's a combination of reminding yourself who you are and where you're at, reminding yourself constantly of this calling that you've been given. It's for a reason. It's not for nothing, and taking those small actionable steps every day, whether you have to put a sticky note in your car, one step at a time, you got this, like any kind of encouragement consistently is going to help block out those negative thoughts and those doubts and those fears. Some people will write it on their bathroom mirror when they wake up in the morning. For me, I have it tattooed on my shoulder. Don't let the hard days win, and that's a quote from my favorite author from a book series that helped me climb out of a dark spot, a dark hole. I started journaling, I started writing. Every little thing that is going to help you, it's going to look different, right? It's going to be completely different for everybody. But for me, it was the journaling that helped. And to the point to where now I'm writing books, I actually just finished a 12-week journaling series, and it's part business intro, like how to get started, part journaling. Really, it's a love letter, honestly. A love letter to the people who are in the dark, who don't know where to start, who have given up, who don't know what to do anymore and how to move forward. It's for them, honestly.
I
And
love
I
that.
think that, like, I honestly never ever saw myself writing anything. And I realized, like, those thoughts in your head, anytime I hear them, I remind myself that thought is there because it is trying to prevent me from moving into the next step. So, what do
Mm.
I need to do to keep moving? Because that's not who I am. Those thoughts are not me, and it really just helps to get you more aligned and centered in your purpose in life.
Yeah. So good. So wise. I love it. The people that work with you are lucky. So let's talk about the business a little bit.
Thank you.
Like
I
what are
appreciate that.
what are of course, what are you creating? Like what is the new chapter co going to be comprised of, like in terms of community, coaching, courses, like what's the vision here?
Yeah, so the New Chapter Co is mainly my community brand. My vision for it is being there honestly as a support and encouragement group. I mean, eventually the vision is as things progress and grow more, my vision is for that to be the community face for outreach programs, fundraisers. I grew up I grew up poor, to be honest with you. Like, my mom was a single mom. We grew up extremely poor. And one thing that I always admired in her is that she always made things work. Like, didn't matter what it was, there was that grit and that resilience, that perseverance. Sometimes it was really hard. And I see a lot of her in me. And at first, I did not admire that because I was just like, I don't want to be like my mom. But I realized that she was a huge, huge influence in my life for keeping me going strong. Seeing a woman do it by herself. And I think that where my vision is with this business is really just giving back on the community side. My goal is to have food drives. My goal is to put on community events. Like, that is the vision for the New Chapter Co. Now, the consulting arm for the New Chapter Consulting is really there for the person starting over in transition, right? The person who's trying to figure out, I have this dream, I have this goal. What do I do? What are my next steps? I work with a lot of clients who have had an established business, but maybe they need to pivot somewhere. Maybe it's not aligning with what they once thought, or it's not going in the direction that they once thought. And they kind of have to take a few steps back and realign their mission,
Mhm.
or redefine their brand. What is my brand identity now? It was one thing and now it's another thing. And kind of just help them gain that clarity and move back into where they want to be with their culture and their business. Really, for the consulting side, I'm a strategist for some, a coach for others. But if I'm being 100% honest, I'm just a big hype girl for everybody. Like, I want to see you win. I want to see you grow. I had a mentor a few years back. And when I first started independent consulting, and one thing that she would tell me, and I don't know if this is from a book or something, so don't quote me on this, but one thing she would always tell me is that a rising tide lifts all boats. And I literally live by that. Like, with all of my clients, and one thing that's really universal with all of them is they're like, it doesn't matter if we're buying from you or doing this or what, like, you're always just there to encourage us and support us. And we love working with you for that reason. And that's really all I want to hear. I didn't start this to sit here and make money. I honestly started this to help other people. And that was the one thing that actually contributed to stopping me at first, is someone had told me it's not profitable. And I said, I don't want it to be profitable. I want to help others grow. And if I make a buck on the way, awesome, but that's not why I'm doing it.
I love that. I love that. So, what's like your main initiative with growth that you have in the next year? Like, are you wanting to close more clients? Are you wanting to get more people in the community? Are you wanting to start these community service events? Like, what's the big initiative that's the next bite of the elephant you're taking, so to speak?
Yeah, I think my next goal and my next initiative really is just visibility. Right now, how I reach my clients is very organic methods of marketing, very word of mouth, and that's really how I meet all of my clients. And so, my biggest challenge with visibility, I'm in a weird spot, right? I'm young enough to be on that TikTok, Instagram influencer, but I'm also old enough where I didn't grow up with any of that. And I'm like, how are these people doing this? But, I help my clients do it all the time. And so it's just like, all right, be consistent with that visibility on the social media side and the marketing side. Because really, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not really marketing a whole lot right now. Um, but it's still going very successful with the organic methods that I've put into place. So
Nice.
just trying to change it up a little bit and increase that visibility. Like, I know I have something very powerful to offer, very encouraging. And I just want to reach, specifically the women who are just trying to start over in that transition, but also that person that's, sitting there late at night on Google or on Reddit asking, how do I start over? How do I take these next steps? I have this business and want to build it. Is that something would buy, or is this something people would want? Is this a service that is needed? People who are just wanting to give back, and they have that dream and that goal and that purpose. And I just want to help them and say, hey, I got you. I'm right here. I've got a plan. Let's work. Let's do it. Let's build it.
Yeah, I love that. What are the platforms that you're primarily focused on with your organic visibility right now?
Right now, Instagram and LinkedIn. I do have a website up that's been up for a while. So I typically, when I meet people organically, I'll get them my email, my phone number, and my business website and lead them there. Instagram has probably been, it's its own animal, right?
Yeah.
Like, where you're constantly fighting algorithms and everything else. And so I tend to focus more on content creation and honestly just being authentically myself. I think that's where people struggle the most, is they feel like they have to look like something, or they have to be so put together, especially women. I'm really seeing a trend right now with female perfectionism,
Mm,
and it's kind of sad to see, because I feel like there's already so much pressure on women as it is. But women who are wanting to start a business or create a social media following, it doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It just has to be you.
yeah, I love that. I love that. So, are you creating content mostly on LinkedIn then, or are you dabbling
Yeah. So
with
mostly I'm
TikTok? Or
trying to double down on both. Yeah, I'm trying to double down on both. I do have a TikTok that's under my personal name, so I have my business on LinkedIn and Instagram right now. So that's currently the only social media I have, other than again, like, as far as marketing goes, like, it's all organic, and I love it. That's what I know, right? It's
yeah,
what I'm good at.
yeah,
But there's definitely more people out there I feel that I can reach, and I would love to help. I was actually helping this client recently build their social media profile, and they're like, "This actually worked. Like, are you using this?" And I was like, "I need to be, because it does work. Why am I not using it?" But it's creating that time
that's
and
so funny.
consistency in your own plan.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, My first 6 years of running my agency, primary thing was Facebook ads. That was, like, what I did for the majority of my clients. My services have expanded dramatically since then, but primarily Facebook ads, and I didn't do a lick of Facebook ads for myself, and it was always fascinating to me. Like, for a while, I was almost embarrassed about it, because I was like, "Yeah, I'm the Facebook ads expert that doesn't actually run it for my own business." And really, the reason for that was we were doing well enough with word of mouth that if we had turned on ads, like, my team couldn't have handled the capacity. But it was just funny how, like, sometimes we're like, "Oh, yeah, like, I do this for other people," like, and we forget to turn it back on ourselves as well.
Yeah, forget to pour back into ourselves, but that's the most important part, right? Is you got to pour into yourself so you can continue to pour into others.
Absolutely, I love that. So well said. So what do you feel is something that you do differently than most in the coaching industry? Like, what's your unique your USP?
Um, It's actually funny. I was talking to someone about this not even the other day, and we laughed about it because he was having a conversation with me about other consultants he's worked with and how they operate. And I didn't even notice this about myself, but I'm really authentic. I try to think about like what type of person would I want to work with, right? And one thing that I struggled in the beginning, before I was even official, before I was doing anything else, is I was like, oh, it has to look like this or it has to sound like this, and none of that was working. And that's kind of when that doubt crept in, right? And when I finally realized, like, just be yourself, just be who you are, right? For those who know me in my personal life, like, I am so weird. I am so weird. Like when it comes to talking to my clients, like, that's what they love about me is they're like, I love that you're just you. Like, you don't perform, you don't pretend to be anybody other than yourself. And, like, it's just one of those things that was my biggest that it still is my biggest advice to my clients, right? Just be authentic, 100%. Just be yourself, you know? But as a consultant, I approach things from, I guess, a mindset of I'm not here for me, right? Like, I've even worked with consultants in the past, and, it's constantly like, I feel like there's a lot of like me, 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 me from these consultants from high-end firms, and they're like, I think you should do this and I think you should do that. But they never take the time to actually ask me like what I want in my business.
Mm,
And so when I work with someone and I sit down with them, like I am 100% tuned into them. Like
mm.
100%, we are narrowed in. What do you want? What do you want to do? And then even just getting to know them helps with understanding where, like, what their mission and their values align best with. Like when we take the time to sit down for a strategy session and they're like, hey, I want to map through what my vision and my goals are, and our values for this business are going to be. And they'll lay out like, certain values, right? And core values that they agree with. A lot of the times, like, they're dead spot on. But then there's some that I'll bring to the table just from knowing them, that they're like, yeah, I absolutely 100% agree with this. This is like something that I feel aligned with. And had I not taken the time to know my clients, to understand them professionally and even sometimes personally, like, I wouldn't been able to help them or direct them in that way. So my approach is maybe not the typical one you would see as a business consultant. I'm not salesy by any means, but I am very just tuned in to my clients and their needs. Like, I'm here to serve them.
I love that. So powerful, and it really is. I think sometimes when you get into a business, especially when it's surrounding a passion, it's very easy to get lost in the pursuit of the hustle or the money. And so to stay focused on that you're actually serving someone can be really challenging sometimes.
Yeah,
I love this. I love this. So
absolutely.
what are some industry trends that you're noticing that are impacting your business? What are you doing to address the trend?
Kind of like what I was speaking on earlier, the performance factor, right? Like, there's so much performance
Mhm.
pressure, I feel like, as an industry trend in and of itself. I've experienced this personally, and I have lots of clients who struggle with the same thing. And especially for women, I have noticed that way more for women than men. But ultimately, what I'm seeing and what I'm running into is this idea that you have to have a perfect launch, polished website, polished accounts, like crisp, clean, whatever social media profiles, a massive following before you can get started. And that honestly is just a lie. Like, if that is your mindset right now, if you're listening to this and you're like, all right, I'll build it when I get to this many followers. I'll build it when it looks like this. I'll build it when it sounds like that. Just start. You don't need that. Just start, you know? I struggled with the same thing for 6 years. It's like even just building like a full brand kit or even having a funnel system in place. Like you don't need that to start. You really don't. Those are all tools that you will need. Those are all tools that will help you, especially as your business grows. You're going to need those things 100%. But I challenge you to just show up fully yourself, authentically. Honestly, I think that when I have to reevaluate myself, when those thoughts come into place, like, okay, Jackie, you don't have this many followers, you don't have this, I have to just sit here and say, you know what? I'm not here for a massive following. I am here for a slow, sustainable, soulful build with my company. And that is my main priority. Yeah, you mentioned AI. I think AI honestly is really helpful. I think there's a lot of uses for it, and there's a lot in business that it's good for. But I don't want people, and I don't ever try to deter people from using AI. Like I have some clients that love ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT can be great, but I think you also have to be careful with it. It's good for if you need to brainstorm. It's good if you need to create drafts. It's good if you're kind of like in this mental block, like, okay, where do I start with my content and stuff like that. But what I remind myself is that my work with people is very personal. So AI is not going to be personal. You're not going to have AI understand your voice, who you are as a person, your culture that you want your business to be. Like AI can't help you with that. And so I try to remind my clients that in the long run, like this business is you. This business is what you created it to be, the vision you had in your heart. Um, and really just understanding with a lot of clarity, a lot of courage and connection that they can use those tools to help them, but don't take away from your voice, your specific who you are. I mean, you with your podcast, if you were to use AI, let's say voiceovers or whatever it may be, then people don't recognize you for your voice. We love hearing your voice on this show. And so I do believe there's a place for AI technology. And as it continues to grow, I think it can help us. But I don't think we should be fully reliant on it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So good. So good. Well, Jackie, it has been seriously such a joy having you on the show today and bringing your heart. I love how passionate you are about what you do and how giving you are and how eager you are to help people start the new chapter with confidence. It really is a remarkable thing that you're doing, and I'm really excited to see it flourish. So how can people find you, follow you, get involved? How do people get in touch?
Yeah, so right now I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram, and then I do have a website. Instagram at The New Chapter Co. and at The New Chapter Consulting. That's kind of where I just share a lot of my Q&As, just questions, any type of I also write a lot. And so I'll post some of my writing work on there just for encouragement. But I do put a lot of free content out there as far as helping people with their businesses get started, kind of get aligned, gain that clarity. Again, I'm here. I'm here for the person starting over. I'm here for that person in transition and wanting to build. So everyone's, if you want to reach out to me on Instagram or LinkedIn, I would absolutely love to hear from you and learn about your journey and how you're growing, the struggles that you're facing, your goals. And I want to see you build it.
I love it. Guys, I'm going to put all those links in the episode notes so you can get direct access to those. So you can connect with Jackie and follow her journey and get access to all of her wisdom. Jackie, thank you so much for being on the Marketing Matrix today. It's been an absolute joy having you here, and your presence really is wonderful. And thanks for sharing what you do.
Oh, thank you so much for having me and for inviting me on your show. I've really enjoyed it, and I love listening to your podcast and enjoy your work.
Thank you. Thank you so much.